My girlfriend broke up with me, then came back and apologized. I told her, all right, I'll give you one more chance. But suddenly, she asked for some time again. Then her parents called me with something that shattered everything I thought I knew. I'm 29, work in IT project management, and I've spent the last 4 years building a life with Rebecca. We met at a tech conference in 2019, and within 6 months we were living together in our apartment in Portland. Everything felt solid. We had routines, Sunday mornings at the farmer's market, Thursday nights watching shows we'd already seen, weekend hikes when the weather cooperated. It wasn't flashy, but it felt permanent. Until it wasn't. 8 months ago, she became distant. I noticed it gradually at first. She'd check her phone constantly, then lock it when I came near. I'd ask if everything was okay at work, and she'd say yes, just stressed. Her job at a marketing firm had always been demanding, so I didn't push it. I trusted her. That feels naive now. Then came Tuesday, March 14th. We were sitting on the couch watching something neither of us cared about when she paused it. I don't think this is working anymore, she said. I waited for her to continue, to explain, to say something that would make sense of those words. She didn't. What do you mean? I asked. I mean, I don't think we're compatible anymore. I've been thinking about this for months. I need to figure out who I am, and I can't do that while I'm in a relationship. I'm sorry. I asked if there was someone else. She said no. I asked if she loved me anymore. She couldn't answer that. I asked if she wanted me to move out, and she said maybe it would be good for both of us to have space. We didn't fight. We didn't yell. We just ended. And that somehow made it worse. A fight feels survivable. This felt like drowning in slow motion. I moved into my friend's guest room the next day. I told people at work we were taking a break. I went through the motions of my job while internally falling apart. 3 weeks of checking my phone obsessively, feeling my stomach drop every time she didn't message. Then she called me on a Friday night. I've made a terrible mistake, she said. I think I was just scared. Scared of how serious things were getting. I freaked out. But these past 3 weeks without you have been the worst of my life. I miss you so much. I miss us. Can we please try again? I'm so sorry. And just like that, the pain stopped. Or at least, the acute pain. The sharp stabbing kind that makes you feel like you can't breathe. This pain was duller, more hopeful. Yeah, I said. Yeah, we can try again. We spent that night talking for hours on the phone. She explained that her job stress had made her question everything. That she'd realized in those 3 weeks how much I meant to her. That she'd been stupid and impulsive. I believed her. I genuinely did. We set up a timeline for me to move back into our apartment the following weekend. But then, a week later, she hit me with another curveball. I think I need some time to process everything that happened, she said. We were having coffee at a cafe near my friend's place. I want us to work, but I'm worried I'll fall back into the same patterns. Can you give me 2 months? Just some space while I figure my head out? We can see each other once a week or something, but I think I need the apartment to myself for a bit. I was frustrated. This felt like whiplash. But I agreed anyway. 2 months seemed reasonable. People go to therapy, work on themselves, come back better. I could wait. I booked an Airbnb for a month, then arranged to stay with my brother in Seattle for the next month. At least I'd be out of the city, less likely to obsess about what she was doing. My work also helped. My boss mentioned a project requiring someone to be on-site in Seattle for 8 weeks. I volunteered. It felt like good timing. That's when her parents called. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I was sitting in a coffee shop in Seattle, working on my laptop, when her mom's name lit up my phone. I recognized Carol's number immediately and felt uneasy. Her parents were nice enough, but we weren't the type to call each other for casual chats. Hi, Carol, is everything okay? I asked, stepping outside into the Seattle drizzle. There was a long pause. That depends on your definition of okay, she said. Listen, I'm going to be direct because I think you deserve to know. Rebecca came to us yesterday and told us something. She wanted us to know before she talked to you. My stomach dropped immediately. Rebecca is pregnant, Carol said. She's about 3 months along. She says it's yours, but, given the timeline, that doesn't match up with when you two actually separated. I couldn't speak. The coffee shop noise behind me felt too loud. People walked past, completely unaware that my entire world was realigning. Are you there? Carol asked. Yeah, I managed. I'm here. 3 months. That would put conception around early January, Carol said carefully, which is before the breakup in March. Before. She'd been pregnant before she broke up with me. Before she said she didn't know if she loved me anymore. Before she said she needed space to find herself. I need to be honest with you, Carol continued. I've known Rebecca her whole life, and I know when she's lying. I pushed her on the timeline, and she got defensive. Started crying. Said she didn't know how to tell you, and that she wanted to figure things out on her own first. My husband and I think you need to hear this from her directly, but we also think you have a right to know immediately. After we hung up, I stood there for 40 minutes. I didn't move. I didn't go back inside. I just stood in the rain and tried to process the impossible math. If she was 3 months pregnant, then she'd been pregnant during our entire relationship in the month before the breakup. She had to have known. Women know when they're pregnant. And she hadn't told me. I called her. "Hey babe," she answered, too cheerfully. "What's up? How's your day?" "Your mom called me," I said flatly. The line went silent. "She told me you're pregnant." "Oh my God," Rebecca said. "I can't believe she did that. I was going to tell you. I promise I was going to tell you." "When? After you delivered? Don't be like this. I knew you'd react like this." "Like what, Rebecca? Like someone who just found out his girlfriend lied to him about why she broke up with him? That's exactly how I'm reacting right now. When were you planning to tell me? What were you waiting for?" "Soon. I just needed to figure some things out first." "What things?" "Whether the baby is mine." The words came out before I could stop them, and instantly I regretted them. But something in her hesitation told me I wasn't entirely wrong. "It's not like that," she said, and now she was crying. "The baby is yours. I'm 99% sure. 99% sure. 4 years together. And apparently there was a 1% margin of error." "I need to come back," I said. "We need to talk in person. You're not going to like what you hear. I already don't like it. I already don't like any of this. So let's just get it all out." I booked a flight for the next day and didn't sleep that night. I lay in a hotel bed and tried to construct timelines in my head, tried to figure out where I'd gone wrong, what I'd missed. Update 1: Rebecca looked exhausted when we met at a neutral location, a coffee shop, because apparently we kept having these conversations in coffee shops. She ordered a decaf latte and stirred it for 5 minutes before speaking. "I need to tell you everything," she said. "And I need you to listen without interrupting, because I will lose my nerve." I nodded, every part of me wanting to interrupt immediately. "Last year, about a year ago, I met someone at work. His name is David. He's in the creative department. He made me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten I could feel. It was flirting at first. Just comments that meant something different than what they said. Then it became texts. Then it became more. My hands felt numb. I placed them on the table so she could see they were shaking. It went on for about 6 months before anything physical happened. And when it did, it was just once. We met at a hotel room downtown, and I felt sick the entire time. I left halfway through and went to the bathroom and cried for like an hour. "Rebecca, I'm not done," she said quickly. "Please." I found out I was pregnant about 3 weeks after that. I took 5 tests because I couldn't believe it. And that's when I completely fell apart. Because I didn't know if it was yours or his. Jesus Christ. I know how this sounds. I went to a doctor and did some early screening tests to figure out the gestational age, and everything pointed to it being yours. The timing matched up. We had slept together 2 weeks before, and this David thing happened after. So technically, the baby should be yours. Should be. Is yours. Is definitely yours now. I've had it confirmed. I did a prenatal DNA test. It's yours. 100%. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt hollow. "So you broke up with me because you were guilty?" I asked. "Because you cheated on me and then found out you were pregnant and didn't know if it was mine?" "I broke up with you because I needed to figure out what I wanted. I was going insane with the secret. And yes, the guilt was part of it, but it wasn't just that. I was confused. I was scared. I was completely falling apart. And the giving me one more chance and then asking for 2 months of space. I didn't expect you to accept the breakup so well. When you didn't fight for us, it made me realize how much I actually cared about losing you. But I was still confused about the baby. I wanted to make sure before I told you. And there's something else you need to know." Of course there was something else. "David," she continued. "He's married. His wife found out about us somehow. I still don't know how. She called me, and she was furious. She told me to stay away from her husband. And I did. I told David I couldn't do it anymore, that I felt awful for his wife, that it needed to end. But he's been messaging me since then, trying to see me, saying he doesn't care if I'm pregnant. He wants to be in the baby's life." "No," I said flatly. "Absolutely not. I know. I'm not letting him. I'm telling you this so you understand the full picture. I made a horrible mistake. I hurt you. I hurt his wife. I put myself in a terrible situation, and now there's a baby in the middle of it. And I understand completely if you walk away right now. I deserve that. I should have walked away. By every rational measure, I should have gotten up from that table, left that coffee shop, and never looked back. Instead, I sat there and asked her what she wanted me to do. "I want you to be the father," she said. "If you can forgive me. If you want to. I want us to raise this baby together. But I also understand that's asking for a lot, and I'm not going to pressure you." I spent the next week in a fog. I moved back into our apartment. Rebecca tried to be attentive, apologetic, better. But I couldn't stop thinking about the timeline, the hotel room, the other man's wife calling her in anger. I kept imagining scenarios where this blew up in our faces. 2 weeks after Rebecca told me everything, the other shoe dropped. His wife showed up at our apartment building on a Saturday morning. Rebecca opened the door to find her standing there, shaking with anger. I heard the raised voices from the kitchen and came out to find a woman in her late 30s, eyes red from crying. "He can't stop talking about you," she said to Rebecca. "He says he made a mistake staying with me, that he wants to leave, to be with you and help raise the baby. Did you tell him that?" "No," Rebecca said. "I told him I didn't want contact anymore." "He has screenshots of your messages," the woman said. "Messages where you talk about what could have been and how unfair it is that you're doing this alone. Messages from 2 weeks ago." Rebecca's face went white. I realized in that moment that she'd been lying again. Not about the baby being mine, but about cutting things off with David. He and Rebecca had been in communication this entire time. I didn't say anything. I just watched. "If you're smart," David's wife said, "you'll stop responding to him. Because he's spiraling, and he's talking about contacting my lawyer and filing for paternity rights to your child. He's convinced himself the baby might be his." After she left, Rebecca and I sat in silence for a long time. "It's not his," Rebecca said finally. "I swear to God, it's not his. The timing doesn't work. But you've been talking to him. He kept reaching out. I felt guilty. He helped me with some financial stuff when I thought I was going to have to do this alone." Financial stuff. I thought about David's wife mentioning money. Apparently he'd been sending cash. "I can't do this," I told her. "I can't keep wondering what's real and what isn't. You need to go to a lawyer and document everything. You need to make it crystal clear to this guy that contact is over. And if he pursues anything legal regarding paternity, we'll handle it. But I'm not raising a child in an environment where I'm constantly waiting for the next lie." "Does that mean you're leaving?" Rebecca asked. "I don't know what it means yet," I said. "I know I need to think." I moved back in with my brother again. He let me sleep in his guest room and didn't ask too many questions, though I could tell he knew something was very wrong. I took another leave from work. My boss wasn't thrilled, but he understood it was a personal crisis. For 10 days, I heard nothing from Rebecca. I didn't call her. She didn't call me. I spent that time existing in a strange state of limbo. On day 11, Rebecca's lawyer reached out. Rebecca had hired one. She sent over documentation showing that she had cut all contact with David, that she'd had him blocked on all platforms, and that she had the prenatal test confirming I was the biological father. She also included a letter from her therapist stating that Rebecca was in active treatment for depression and infidelity, and that she was committed to rebuilding trust in her relationship. It was a comprehensive package designed to show me she was serious about change. I met with the divorce lawyer anyway, just to understand my options. He told me I'd have parental rights and responsibilities regardless of whether Rebecca and I were together. He asked me if I was in a safe situation, if I felt threatened, if I was being coerced into parenthood. None of those boxes checked. I wasn't in danger. I wasn't being threatened. I was just devastated and confused. But I was also becoming angry in a different way. I was angry at David. This married man had pursued someone who was already in a relationship, had created this entire mess, and now his wife had to drive to our apartment to confront my girlfriend. I called Rebecca and asked to meet at a park instead of a coffee shop. We sat on a bench and watched people walk by with their dogs and their kids. "I've been thinking a lot," I said, "and I've decided that I can't just walk away from this baby. I know that's probably stupid. I know that opens me up to even more heartbreak. But I also know that if I don't try, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been." "What does that mean?" Rebecca asked carefully. "It means I want to try, but we have conditions. We go to couples therapy immediately. You keep seeing your therapist. We get a custody agreement drawn up before the baby is born, not after. And you understand that trust is broken right now. It will take time to rebuild it, and there's a chance I might not be able to rebuild it." Rebecca started crying, but they were different tears than before. Relief, maybe, or recognition that this was her last chance. "I understand," she said. "I understand all of that, and I'm willing to do it." Update 2: The next 3 months were strange. We lived in the apartment together, shared meals, attended therapy sessions. Externally, we looked like we were putting our relationship back together. But internally, I was doing things I'll never be proud of. I checked phone bills. I looked at credit card statements. I even set up a location tracker on her phone, which I'm aware makes me seem unhinged, but I'd been lied to repeatedly, and I needed to feel like I had some control over the situation. Rebecca wasn't doing anything suspicious. She was going to work, going to doctor's appointments, going to therapy. She was eating healthily. She was preparing the nursery. She was being exactly what I wanted her to be, a reformed woman trying to earn back trust. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was still something I didn't know. David contacted me directly through LinkedIn. He sent a message asking if we could meet and talk. He wanted to discuss the situation and what he called his rights and responsibilities regarding the child. I ignored the message. Then he sent another one. Then another one. Eventually, I responded. Do not contact me again, I wrote. Any communication should go through the lawyers. I'm trying to be reasonable here, he responded. She's trying to keep me out of the picture. You were already out of the picture. You were someone she saw once while she was already with someone else. That's not a picture. That's an incident. I blocked him before I could see the rest. But his persistence made me paranoid. What if the prenatal test was wrong? What if there was some small percentage chance that he actually was the father? I asked Rebecca for the documentation from the prenatal test. She showed me everything without hesitation. The lab name, the results, the percentage certainty. I called the lab directly and confirmed it was legitimate. The test showed 99.97% certainty that I was the father. So that wasn't it. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop anyway. It's hard to trust someone after they've lied to you this way. Final update, it's been 8 months since our son was born. His name is Thomas. He's sleeping in his crib right now, and Rebecca is reading next to me on the couch. Rebecca and I aren't the same people who met at that conference 4 years ago. That version of us doesn't exist anymore. We're different people, angrier, wearier, more complicated. But we're also more real. We're still in therapy. We'll probably always be in therapy, and I've made peace with that. Therapy isn't a failure state. It's a tool. We're not perfect. We still have arguments. I still have moments where the trust feels fragile. But I also have moments where I watch Rebecca playing with Thomas, and I feel something that's close to love. Not the easy love we had before. Something more durable. David never pursued legal action regarding Thomas. His wife apparently gave him an ultimatum: marriage counseling or divorce. He chose counseling. His company transferred him to a different division. I heard through the grapevine that his marriage seems to be on more stable ground now. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if he had pushed things legally. If he'd insisted on his own DNA test. But I don't have a good answer. Rebecca goes to her appointments. She takes her medication. She's trying, every single day, to be better than she was. And I'm trying to let her. That's where we are. Not happily ever after. Not happily anything really. Just two people with a baby, moving forward one day at a time, trying to build something that can actually last.